All right, let's talk about AI. We're going to rewind the clock and look at its incredible, kind of crazy history. It's this wild story full of brilliant highs and crushing lows, and it all starts with a dream that's way, way older than you might think.
So, where do you even begin with a story like this? Well, you might think it starts with computers, right? With silicon chips and code. But nope. To really get AI, we have to go back way further, back to ancient myths and this timeless human obsession with creating life.
I mean, think about it. For literally centuries, we've been telling these stories. You've got the Greek myths of Talos, this giant automaton made of bronze, or the medieval legends of golems brought to life from clay. These weren't just bedtime stories. They were the philosophical seeds for everything that would happen thousands of years later.
Okay, so let's fast forward a lot. We're jumping to the mid-20th century, because this is the moment. This is where that ancient dream finally meets the one thing it was missing: technology.
And it all starts with this one sentence. I mean, look at this quote. It's from the proposal for the 1956 Dartmouth workshop, and it's basically the birth certificate of AI. This is it. They didn't just coin the term artificial intelligence here. They laid out this unbelievably ambitious goal to build a machine that could simulate, well, every single aspect of learning. And that meeting kicked off what we now call the first AI summer, a time of just massive optimism. But here's the thing you absolutely have to understand about the history of AI. It is not a straight line up. It's more like seasons. You get these incredible optimistic summers where anything seems possible, followed by these brutal, freezing winters where all the funding just disappears. So let's take a look at that first big cycle, that first summer and winter, because it really sets the stage for everything that follows. So in this first wave, the big idea was something called symbolic AI. Basically, the thinking was, hey, let's just teach the computer rules, hard code logic, kind of like teaching it philosophy, right? And at first, wow, it worked amazingly well. You had programs proving complex math theorems, solving puzzles. It was stunning. People got so excited they thought, that's it, we're just a few years away from general AI.
Yeah, about that optimism, it hit a brick wall hard. The hype train went completely off the rails. Suddenly, reports started coming out saying, hey, these guys are not delivering. And just like that, the money dried up. Welcome to the first AI winter.
So what went wrong? Well, the problem was something called the combinatorial explosion, which sounds complicated, but here's the simple version. These early AIs were great in a neat, tidy world, like a game of checkers. The rules are clear. But the real world, it's messy. It's not a checkerboard. When they tried to get these AIs to solve real problems, the number of possibilities just exploded. The computers of the day just couldn't handle it, not even close.
But then, the thaw. In the 1980s, a new idea brings on a second AI summer. Researchers basically said, okay, maybe trying to build an all-knowing general AI was a bit much. What if we just build narrow expert systems? AIs that were really, really good at one specific thing. And guess what? The whole cycle happened all over again. These expert systems were a huge hit at first. Commercially, they were on fire. But they had a fatal flaw. They were brittle, meaning the second you gave them a problem that was even slightly outside their very specific rules, they just broke. They were a nightmare to update, and pretty soon the market collapsed, leading to a second AI winter, one that was even longer and colder than the first.
Okay, so after getting burned twice, after two whole boom and bust cycles, the entire field pretty much had to admit that something fundamental was wrong. They needed a totally new approach. It was time to just flip the entire script.
And this was the game changer. The old way, the top-down approach, meant programmers painstakingly writing every single rule. The new, bottom-up idea was revolutionary. Instead, you just feed the machine a mountain of data and let it learn the patterns for itself.
And this idea, this new way of thinking, plus a few other key things that all came together at the right time, well, that's what finally sparked the incredible AI summer that we're all living through right now.
It really was a perfect storm of three things in the 2010s. First, big data from the internet. Second, massive compute, which, funnily enough, came from video games. Powerful GPUs perfect for AI. And third, we just had better algorithms to build these deep neural networks. You put those three things together, and it wasn't just an improvement. It was a revolution.
The first big wow moment came in 2012. A neural network named AlexNet just destroyed the competition in the world's biggest image recognition contest. I mean, it wasn't even close.
All of a sudden, AIs could see and identify things in pictures better than any human could.
And then, just 4 years later, you have AlphaGo. It defeated the world champion of Go, which is an insanely complex game. Experts thought a computer beating a human at Go was at least another decade away. This wasn't just about seeing pictures anymore. This was about strategy, a whole new level.
So you've got AIs that can see, AIs that can strategize, and all of that builds up to where we are right now, the generative AI wave. And this is the stuff that's truly part of our everyday lives now, changing, well, pretty much everything.
The engine behind this whole wave is something called foundation models. The best way to think about them is not as a specific tool for one job. No, they're more like these huge, powerful, pre-trained engines. Think GPT. They're built to be a foundation that you can then adapt for tons of different things.
And of course, the key was making it accessible. When something like ChatGPT came along, it put all that power into a simple chat box. It put it directly into our hands. And the result? It became the fastest growing app in history, sparking this massive global conversation that we're all still having. Which brings us back to where we started, with those seasons. We've seen the history, right? The soaring summers full of hype, the brutal winters of despair. So the big question we're all facing now is this time different? Is this summer here to stay? Or are we just riding the biggest wave yet, right before another long winter sets in? That's the question on everyone's mind.